Hi, everybody. It is Renee, and I am here with my friend Dee from Redcliffe Pharmasave up in Canada. And we are going to be talking today about travel tips and eating out. So I know that it's a huge subject for, I know people in my clinic and my clients are always talking about, feeling like they don't want to feel deprived. They want to be able to go out and enjoy themselves. What do? I booked a cruise 3 months from now. I'm starting this protocol. I really need to stay on track. How am I going to traverse the cruise? How am I going to go, on things during the summer, go to barbecues, go to the lake and enjoy your life. So those are some of the things we're going to be talking about today. And if you are just logging onto this broadcast, first of all, please share with everybody. Secondly, would you please send us all your likes and hearts and tell us where you're from. So please let us know what area you're from. Are you a dieter? Are you a coach? What are your challenges? Tell us what your biggest challenges are. And of course, send us your questions because Dee and I will be going through and doing questions and answers, which is super fun. All right, Dee, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I think probably everybody knows me and Dee by now, but tell us about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am a protocol user and coach out at Redcliffe Pharmasave. So our pharmacy is in the little town of Redcliffe, and it's just on the outskirts of Medicine Hat, Alberta. So we're surrounded by a small city of about 60,000. And I work under Melissa Hozak and love the program, love the protocol, and love to create with IP. And I am also a wife and a mom of 3. So they're not small anymore, but they're 19, 17, and 13. So I have a lot of mouths to feed.
That's right. And Dee just recently went on a trip to Phoenix where I think she went through all 4 seasons on her way to get there. And she made it. Tell us a little bit about your trip to Phoenix, because I was following you through the mountains and through the wind.
So a little precursor. Last year when we went to Phoenix to watch our oldest play some university high school baseball. We were greeted with the temperatures in the plus 30s. So I need to do the conversion. I think that's in the 90s for you guys. And it was gorgeous and it was wonderful. And this year we set out and in the hopes of having some wonderful weather in Mesa, and we hit a cold front. And not only did we hit it, but we drove through it through the entire state of Montana, then Idaho. It was even cold in Nevada. I mean, it shouldn't be cold in Nevada. When we hit Flagstaff, we went through the worst storm that we had ever driven in our lives, and we are winter Canadians, born and raised in the snow, in the cold, and it was a challenging trip. It really was.
Yeah, it looked crazy. So we have a bunch of people online. Just want to say hi to Patty and Lisa and Ken and Kelly Thomas, Laura, Melissa. So if you're just logging on, please be sure, first of all, that you share it out to your community. And secondly, tell us where you're from. And Ken says she's still in Wisconsin. Well, I think it probably is pretty cold. I'm heading to Seattle this weekend for the super weekend, and it's raining like crazy there. So lots of crazy weather. So Dee, on your trip, tell us a little bit about how you plan things and what you do, and then we'll start talking about eating out and traveling.
So when I travel in our own vehicle, I have all the control in the world. So I plan ahead on what type of ideal protein, foods and snacks that I want to pack. Being in Canada, when we travel across that border, The first challenge is that you are not allowed to take any fresh fruits or vegetables or meat across that border. So I need to know where my first stops or where my first major available grocery stores or food to purchase is. And so that's what we do. So it's actually, the packing from home is easy because I do my snacks that are allowed to cross, and then we purchase what we need as we go forward on the trip. I myself have a little bit of a sensitive tummy, so I prefer to buy grocery store food than restaurant food. And that ensures then that I don't have funny tummy while we're in a vehicle or airplane for long amounts of time, because that's a really important thing for me as well. I don't want to have to pit stop more than we have to. So that is the first part of planning and preparing. And I can tell you, we've never had any trouble finding appropriate healthy food choices, and not just for myself on if I'm on protocol or in maintenance, but for the rest of my family as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, here's the deal. And what I tell my clients is, if you want to, you will. So understanding that anything is possible, but as we know, Dee, having a plan is the most important part. So if you're just joining us and you would like to get our tips and for eating out and travel, we have a tips guide. All you have to do is type in the word eat and put that in the comments section, and you will automatically in your messenger get our travel and eating out tips guide. So Dee, tell us a little bit about how you let's just talk about eating out for a little bit. So you don't eat out much, is that correct, or just when you travel?
I try, in general, but we don't eat out a lot. But that has to do more so with the stage of life that my personal home is in. So I'm feeding teenagers, I'm feeding athletes. We are on the road a lot. And so, of course, when we are on the road on weekends, we are eating out and navigating that all the time. There's hardly a weekend that we're not. So during the week when we are at home and within our own control, we prefer to eat at home. And there is a lot of reasons for that. One, economics is the first one. It's my kids eat a lot of food, and my grocery budget is quite large. However, one evening meal out for 5 people can be $100 dent, and you're not even getting quality food. And then if we go to non-quality food, such as fast food places, you could still look at for a family of 5 in Canada, easy peasy, $50 to $60, and then the kids are hungry an hour later because they haven't had proper nutrition, or it's fat laden or carb laden, and nobody feels good, and then nobody sleeps good, and then we're thirsty because we've had too much salt and those types of things. So we do try to keep eating out during the week to a dull roar, because we know that almost every weekend we are going to be navigating food and where we can feed ourselves the healthiest while we're out and on the go.
That's right. So when you're, I have a lot of clients, and especially during this time of the year, I'm sure you do too, that there's Little League, and they're at games all weekend long. Some people have 2, 3, 4 kids. They're going in all different directions. How do you plan your day, and what are some of the things that you prepare so that you have taken care of? Especially, we're talking primarily about phase 1. I mean, that's what we're doing here. So tell us on a phase 1 day what you would do.
So first of all, I know where I'm going, right? And I know what's available to me. If I know I'm going to be dodging from remote rinks or remote ball fields where, first of all, there's not going to be grocery stores or handy restaurants nearby, I insulated lunch bag, insulated coolers. They are now almost like a fashion statement versus function. You can buy them in any print, any size. And I mean, even the new vehicles now have coolers in them, coolers in your vehicle. there's really literally so many options. And then of course your good old fashioned cooler. But a simple over the shoulder lunch bag, cooler bag, they look like purses. Now they work excellent for the day. They even work excellent for the weekend if you're staying overnight in multiple days. And we can get to that in a little bit about how you manage through hotels and things like that as well. But if you can pack from home your veggies and your salad and even your protein, then I highly recommend doing that and taking it with you so that you're never going to be stuck in a moment and then having the stress and anxiety of not having at your fingertips what you want and then making a bad choice because then you're stressed out about not having what you need. And the anxiety and stress that goes with not planning and preparing, it is real, and it actually in the land of protocol use, it compounds other issues. So we're always going back to the planning and preparing. It's okay not to take your food with you as well as in your fresh veggies and protein, but then you need to source what's going to be in your area so that you know that you can make a solid decision on where you're going to be able to enjoy that food.
Right. And you know, there are places that you can eat out, but the snack shack is not one of them.
No.
So just knowing if you're heading to the ball field, you got to bring your stuff with you because really there is going to be nothing there except some bottled water. That's about all you're going to get there. Yeah. So I do have some tips for people that are on the road or that are just, you know, a lot of my clients like to eat out. So they just do. And they're always looking for like a fast food place to eat. So my number one tip and choice for fast food is Subway. So Subway has the Veggie Delight Salad. And you know what your protocol vegetables are. And one of the things I always say is take a picture with your telephone and have your protocol sheet with you so that you know what your list of veggies is. You're not searching. So do that. And then you can look and you can go, okay, no olives, no cheese, no red wine vinegar, but you can, you know, put in a small amount of olive oil on top. And when you're going to choose the meats, be very careful about the meats. Ask them, is there sugar in your meats? So some meats have sugar. I always say, you know, best choice is going to be some type of a chunk chicken or turkey breast. No meats that are sliced. They're going to have fats, fillers, and nitrates in them. So that's kind of my number one choice for fast food. What about you, Dee? Is there any places that you suggest to your clients?
Well, so we're actually just reworking on this within our own clinic about helping our clients where they can go for healthy alternatives. And Subway, I'm kind of actually glad that you mentioned Subway. Subway is great for vegetables. However, I have some really bad news about Subway chicken. I have some really bad news about the Subway grilled chicken. Dextrose, corn syrup, brown sugar. It is soy fillers. So in Canada, now here's another thing. So I'm from Canada. Our FDA rules are a little bit different than the United States ones. And so by all means, please check your ingredients. But we know that our Subway grilled chicken is only about 50% chicken, and the rest is fillers and sweeteners and preservatives. And I actually scribbled down a list of them because I was actually a little bit horrified because as a coach and protocol user, I have used the grilled chicken and have recommended and suggested it to clients also, only to actually Google the ingredients, read the list, and go, oh my goodness. My client came back and said, you know, I ate out all weekend. I tried to make good choices and I was starving and I wasn't feeling good and my tummy hurt and I was part of I was part of the issue because I'm like, oh yeah, grilled chicken at Subway, good choice. Actually,
Okay, well, I stand corrected.
I know it's really tough. And so then, so we have what's called taco time in Canada, and I know you guys have a whole bunch of different taco chains.
Yeah.
The spices that they put in their ground beef, it's a no-go. It's the same thing loaded with sugar.
Yeah.
So vegetable the vegetable portion of the protocol is actually becoming the easy one. I know that, but fast food, the meats, they're sketchy. So for
There's a great book called Sugar, I think it's called Sugar, Salt, Fat. And it's a great read, you guys, because it teaches you how the fast food industry really came to be so addictive because everything has sugar, salt, and fat in them. And that combination is what makes us more and more addicted to those flavors and change. Actually, it really changes your taste buds and your internal mechanism, and it also shuts off your ability to decide when you're full or not. So sorry to interrupt you, Dee, but I thought, that talking about fast food, unfortunately, you're right. So just eat the Veggie Delight salad, no meat.
So, it's so tricky, but here's where now we are armed with that knowledge. So if you do have a favorite fast food place on the go, do a little bit of homework. I do know that we do have hamburger fast food places where you can actually get 100% ground beef patties with no fillers. So to go to that drive-through and have an awesome lettuce burger, and I've never been turned down if I've asked them to make me a lettuce burger. Yeah, and so you also can get extra pickles, extra onions, extra lettuce, extra tomatoes, so that you can really, build a massive burger or have it on the side. Kind of a nice thing about burgers as well is that most places have a 4-ounce option for a burger. So say you're out and about and you're having a busy day and you are feeling like you need to eat, well, having a 4-ounce burger is a great option because then it still leaves you 4 ounces of supper dinner protein as well to have later. So then you can divide that up and use it through the day. And again, I'm not up to speed on all the fast food places in the U.S. My 17-year-old son wanted us to put the brakes on every time we went past a Panda Express, though. He's like, "Oh, I want to go eat there. I want to go eat there."
No, there's nothing. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about Asian food because there's almost nothing you can order there because here's the deal. All the sauces are going to have sugar in them. And, it's really difficult, and especially no fast food. I do have one client that goes to P.F. Chang's, and she has some kind of, I wish I should have wrote it down, but she has a special order that she does where she just gets the vegetables steamed, she gets the protein made, grilled with no sauces on it. So there's like one thing you can eat there. I suggest there's a whole lot of places you can go that you can actually get, simple, fresh things. So yeah.
I'm sure I know that you do have, we have something now called the chopped leaf, where you have something similar. There's things like hard-boiled eggs on their salad additions, right? And so there are still ways to get your protein in and know that there is nothing in those eggs or nothing in theirs. And they have been a little bit better about disclosing what's in their chicken. So the chopped leaf, I guess, less than 1% is the ratio of preservatives or additives or fillers in their chicken. So again, before you head out for your day, even do your homework on your fast food restaurants and know what's in your area. And so I know that every protocol user, I know not everyone, but most has a phone, right? You have whether you're on Android or iPhone, under your Google Maps, if you look at your phone, if you hit Maps and then you hit to enter your location, one of the first things that pops up is restaurants and dining, the little icon there. So wherever you are, if you have your maps turned on, it will let you know what is in your general area within kilometers, right next to you. So then you can click on your restaurant or even your fast food restaurant, and then that will lead you to that location's website and phone number. So you don't have to go driving, ping-ponging across the area to find things. It's right there in your phone when you're traveling as well. Really great handy tool, and also lets you know that, oh, hey, if I, drive 500 more meters in that direction, I'm going to get to something that I can have versus something that I can't have. So it's worth it. It's worth to look at those options on your phone as well. Use it. It's a tool.
Yeah, I agree. We have a restaurant here called Pluto's, which is a big, huge, it's a salad bar, and you can walk up and you can request, they've got all these different bowls full of all the different items. So you can, that's another really great option. And they actually will, they do have like turkey that they have made fresh that day, like a whole turkey. So again, you're going to want to ask, has the turkey been injected with brine? So another thing with buying rotisserie chickens at the store, and I always tell my clients, do you know why Costco chickens taste so good? Because they've been injected with brine, which is sugar and salt. So, making sure that the meats, but again, you can do boiled eggs, just like Dee said. So make that your source of protein, maybe 3 boiled eggs on your salad. But there are places that you can go, and Pluto's is a great option. And I just have them put some olive oil on, some salt and pepper, and boiled eggs. And they really do have a great array of the different things. So Dee and I are talking like we're in 2 different countries today, because we are.
The interesting thing is, though, most gas stations now even have hard-boiled eggs. And yes, I know they're not attractive looking, packaged in their little plastic pouch, but if all else fails and you're really hungry, that is a way better option than grabbing a chocolate bar or a bag of nuts you're not supposed to have. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So talking about eating out, I ask my clients to limit eating out to not more than 1 or 2 times a week. Otherwise, if you're eating out constantly, number 1, you're not cooking. You don't know what's in your food. And number 2, even if you get the cleanest food from a restaurant, it's still most likely going to have something. So the things I always do when I'm going to order is I always let the server know I'm allergic to dairy. So that way I know, if you say allergic, then they're on top of it. If you say no butter, no cream, they're not on top of that. So I'm allergic to butter. I want no starches on my plate, please. And, if I'm with other people that are eating bread, I don't care. But if it's just, me and my boyfriend, then I say, no bread to the table, please. I don't want to waste bread anyway that I'm not going to eat. And then I order whatever my entree is, whether it's grilled fish, grilled chicken, a grilled petite filet is about the size of our 6 to 8 ounces of protein. Those are all great choices. You can order a salad with olive oil on the side, no croutons, a Pellegrino, slice of lime. You can have your everything steamed. So make sure things are not sauteed, because they're going to, the oil that they're cooking your meat in is then going to be doubled or tripled by the oils that they are cooking your sauteed vegetables in. So make sure everything's steamed, just salt and pepper. And that's a really simple, very tasty meal for eating out.
Yeah.
So, those are great, simple options, and you can get them pretty much in every restaurant that is not a fast food restaurant. Even if you go to Italian restaurants, they're going to have grilled chicken, grilled fish, that kind of thing. What other choices do you suggest as far as eating out or things, ways to order, Dee?
Well, so again, even when you're going to a nice sit-down restaurant, do some homework before you go to make sure that they do have a wide variety of choices. Because let's face it, maybe at 2 o'clock you're thinking something sounds good. Maybe at 6 o'clock when you get there, maybe you've changed your mind, and you need a little bit of variety. A thing to also look for is your restaurant choices. Do they support local farmers, local produce, local anything grown locally and in season? And one of the reasons why is if they do, there's a better chance that they're going to have a better selection of vegetables, and that you may also be allowed to have wider selection, fresher, and then they're going to be more inclined to serve you what you want. Sorry, or how you requested it. So that's always a great tip. Look for restaurants that promote local. And you know what? Even if you're not allowed to have it at that time, local dairy, local vegetables, source local meat, so that you know where your protein sources are coming from. That it hasn't ridden, in a truck for 3 days, and it's prepackaged in plastic and pre-portioned and pre-sauced. So that's another thing, and I am not wanting to be derogatory against any chain, but here's a fact. So a lot of the really big name, big popular chain restaurants, their food comes pre-packaged, pre-plastic, pre-sauced. So when you're asking your server to bring you these things in a specific form and they shake their head yes, sometimes they have no control over that at all. Your steak is being cut out of a plastic pouch, your ribs or what your chicken, it's in preserved brine broth. And
Yeah.
they might not throw it in a frying pan. They may bake it for you, but the damage is already in that product before that they've even served it. So I'm also a big fan of looking for restaurants that are off the beaten path. So independently owned ones oftentimes will give you much better service and much better selection, especially for dietary needs. So I encourage you to seek them out, do your homework, and support local whenever you can. When
I
you're
love
doing
that.
it at home, a little bit more difficult when you're on the road, but it's still one of my most favorite things to do when we do travel, and especially in the U.S. and especially when we go to different states. We recently seeked out an Italian restaurant in Phoenix, and I had the most amazing meatballs there, and I could have them, and they were off the appetizer menu, not the main menu. So I did a little picking and choosing back and forth there to see what I could have, and it was just meat, spices, and handmade tomato sauce. It was wonderful. So you think Italian and you think, well, I can't have the pasta, but take a look at the menu and see what else you can have in there. And I'm not kidding. My husband and my son were like, oh, we should have ordered that, right? So the other thing that I do want to talk about, this might be getting ahead of us a little bit, but I want to talk about when you're in the restaurant and you're reading the menu, and especially if you have company, and whether it's just a significant other with you or you're in a group, this thing right here, this phone,
Yeah.
put it away, put it far away, turn it off, and put it in your purse. Enjoy reading your menu. Enjoy talking about the menu with your company. Enjoy your selections. Don't be distracted when you're eating. This rule is for at home as well, because it's one of our largest problems. We are shoveling in food and we are so distracted. We are looking at the phone, we are looking at the computer, we are looking at the TV, and we are paying no attention to our senses, to our taste buds, to our experience. So if you're out for a lovely evening meal in a lovely restaurant, put that away. Put your social media away. Now, if you're with the fellers in a sports bar, then by all means, watch the game, but interact that way. It is proven that if you are distracted by social media, TVs, those types of things, you're just shoveling in your food. You are not tasting it. You're not enjoying it. You're not you eat faster, actually, is what they say. So we want to slow ourselves down and enjoy that experience. Enjoy what's on your plate. Really enjoy your company. Enjoy your meal. Let's slow things down a little bit.
I love all those tips because it goes to that deeper layer of things that we don't think about. And I read a lot online, and I was reading this morning a post about someone that was talking about emotional eating, and we were talking about a little bit about self-talk also. So mindless eating is definitely a huge issue. Putting away the snacks and the snack habit, because snacking is one of those things that if we don't break that habit while we're in phase one, we go back to snacking, but we're not snacking on ideal protein snacks anymore. And we're not snacking on cucumbers and celery anymore. We're snacking on snacks. So, recreating new habits. And I think for me, Dee, I was a big, huge restaurant eater-outer. Every meal I ate in a restaurant. And that's how I successfully gained my first 65 pounds. And so, eating massive portions of food and food in a restaurant is big. So what I had to learn to do when I started to lose my weight, get new habits, first of all, I would set my fork down in between every single bite. So I made it a habit, and now it's a huge habit. I just do it. Now I'm just a flippin' slow eater. But it was hard for me at first. So I learned to put my fork down in between each bite. I initially, when I got my food in the restaurant, I would cut it in half, and I actually would take the bread plate, because I wasn't eating bread, and I would put half of my meal over onto the bread plate, and I would take it home later, because I knew instantly if all of that food is sitting on my plate, I'm going to finish it. I was taught as a kid, you don't eat what's on your plate, you're going to get a spanking, you're going to get punished, whatever the scenario was.
Won't get dessert.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everybody else is starving except you, and you're not eating your food. So that's a big habit of mine, and still to this day, if all the food is I will eat all the food on my plate. So, and I love that you said appetizer portions, Dee, because that was one of the things I also did. Was I started ordering off the appetizer menu instead of ordering on the entree menu. So, or I would always split with someone. Yeah. So, just having a plan so that you're not eating that whole plate of food, so that you're mindfully eating, you're enjoying your surroundings, you're not just shoveling the food in. And that you really are enjoying it bite by bite and the people that you're with. So I love that you mentioned all those things, Dee. Those are awesome.
Thank you. Well, especially if you were on a holiday, so there's different reasons for travel, right? Like work, business, pleasure, your kids' sports, which can be work and pleasure rolled into one. But some scenarios are, they're different, and what we're looking to get out of those experiences are different too. And anytime that we can slow ourselves down, it is really important. And especially at that evening meal. We're talking about traveling, but I just want to quickly say too, if you're at home, set your table and sit at your table and eat at your table. And I know we're all busy, and I know a lot of us have, work and sports and kids pulls you in every direction. And if that is the case, aim for at least once a week. Start there. Start and build it, and get your family involved in that as well. So if you're running in late from work, get your family members to help get that table set and set up for that downtime, and for proper nutrition and proper almost like mental clarity in your day of the company of your family or significant other or whatever it may be. So, and then those habits will help to make it easier to create good habits when you're traveling and on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are just joining us, please share our broadcast and send us any questions that you have. Tell us what your biggest challenges are. Tell us where you're from, where you're watching us from. And even if you're watching this in the replay, send us your questions and where you're from. And we definitely are going to answer all your questions, even if it's later in the form of a text or comment in the comments section. So, all right. So we've talked about eating out. If you have any questions on eating out, be sure that you put them in the comment section below. And Dee, let's talk about, one of the things that we're going to do next year. I'm going to put it up. Melissa put it up. We're actually going to have an Ideal Protein cruise, and Melissa and her team are planning that. And so it's somewhere in the Caribbean. I know that. I don't know all the places that we're going, but it's going to be for about 5 days. You are welcome to join us. And there's a group you can see here. It's called Seas, as in the sea. Seize the Day 2, because they've already done this once. And so I hope you guys will join us. But since we're talking about that, let's talk about cruising and making good choices on your cruise.
Okay. So really, Melissa is the cruise expert because she loves to cruise. I think she's been on over a dozen easily. And she can tell you all the ins and outs. I have only been on one cruise, but I can tell you that the food on the cruise, whether you are in phase 1 or phase 4, whether you're a vegetarian, whether you are a seasoned traveler or not a seasoned traveler, there was enough selection to stay on phase 1 protocol, first of all, if you are on protocol, and even if you are in maintenance, to acquire almost any meal that your heart desired. They have a buffet that is like ridiculous in choices. If you are tentative about making decisions too, so whether you're on a cruise, whether you're in a hotel, we're going to kind of mix up here a little bit, Renee. Let's talk about breakfast first.
Okay.
You can eat your breakfast in your room, whether you are the Starbucks lover where you make your doppio in your coffee, or you make a hot chocolate, or you have your crispy cereal with water, or you have your hot oatmeal in your room because you have a coffee maker so you can make hot water. Those are all great choices. It works anytime, anywhere on the road. If you're in a hotel, same thing. Easy peasy. If you don't have a fridge, you have recycling containers where you can put ice and put your goods on ice. All sorts of things. We could talk all day about hotel and navigating how to choose a hotel and what their amenities are. But most of them come with fridges, microwaves, coffee makers. If they're not stocked in your room, lots of times the hotels can bring it to you. So on a cruise ship, all those amenities are at your fingertips too. But here's the other thing, especially this is really for phase 1 protocol users. There is nothing off limits for breakfast in the IP world. If you want to eat your broccoli cheese soup for breakfast, you go right ahead. If you want to eat your cheesy Doritos, well, you just go right ahead. If you want to eat your brownie for breakfast, go ahead. It is nobody is saying ever that you may only have IP breakfast foods for breakfast. Do what works. Do what works for you. And so if you find that at breakfast time, navigating whether you're on a cruise ship or in a hotel, if that's too stressful for you, enjoy your morning coffee, tea, whatever it may be, and go ahead and dine in your room. There is nothing wrong with that. I think Melissa just pointed out carving stations, salads, veggies, yeah, those types of things. And same with your sit down dinner. You have so many choices. I think for every stage of your 5-place meal, there's Melissa can maybe correct me, 5 or more options. Like you get your start, right? Like here,
At least.
yeah, pick your starter, pick your this, pick your that. Like there are so many choices and so many options, and there is phase one all the way through. And I know countless dieters that have gone on a week-long or more cruise, and they come back down. They come back down in pounds because it was easy peasy to navigate. And another plus is that they tend to be a little bit more active. Even though you're on a holiday, you know, they're walking the decks. They're maybe going for a little swim when the cruise ship ports. They're walking around. They're sightseeing. Maybe they're going on a little excursion. And so not only are they eating really good food, but they're moving their bodies and they're, a little bit more too. So it's a win-win. The other thing.
Let me stop you for a minute, Dee. I think one thing to really think about is losing the past behaviors. So maybe in the past you would go on a cruise because it was all you could eat and you were getting your money's worth. Switching your thought process to understanding that you are getting your money's worth by enjoying your family and the people that you're traveling with, instead of just pigging out and eating at you can eat 8 meals at least on a cruise and have unlimited burgers in between. But by, making great choices. I know a couple of years ago, we went on kind of a fancy cruise in the Mediterranean. And each day, the way that I started my day was I had my ideal protein. I like to have a chocolate drink. And I also like to hike and be super active and swim and what have you. So I would start my day with my chocolate drink, and then I would add 2 poached eggs. So I went to the table. I did not go to the buffet. The buffet to me was just like, oh my God. There were donuts and rolls and in Europe, everything is sweet for breakfast. They have meats and cheeses too, but there's a lot of sweet stuff. So instead of going to the buffet, I went directly to my table. I ordered a cup of tea from the waiter. I had a couple of poached eggs brought to my table, and I had them put them on sliced tomatoes that had been grilled. Super yummy. And I needed that extra during the day anyway, because I knew I was going directly off of the ship and start on a big walk or a hike or go to the castle or what have you, go to the beach. So those were choices that I made. And the thing to think about is they're going to offer you a lot of options for dinner. So you can have soup, salad, appetizer, entree, dessert, and 100 things in between. I mean, you can have 2 entrees if you want, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need to order those. And right. You're not being deprived if everybody else at the table has all of them and you just have one of each thing. You're not being deprived. You're making a personal choice. Yeah. So switching some of that self-talk and that old emotional behavior, yeah, from being to feeling like, oh gosh, everyone else is having that except me, to I feel so awesome. I'm in control and I'm making these choices because I want to. And I know that at the end of my trip, I'm walking off of this ship either in exactly the same place I got on it or less. So, things to think about. Okay, Dee, go ahead.
Well, another thing about traveling, and and again, this isn't just for phase 1 protocol users. So anybody who's watching in the replay, whether you're a coach, whether you are a protocol user in any phase, share with everybody what your favorite foods to pack, where your favorite places are to eat at your destinations. And here's a really big one. If you are flying, not all airports are equipped the same. So say you're a traveler and a frequent flyer and you know some great spots in an airport from wherever you fly, share that with everybody. Give them some good tips. You can pack anything in your suitcase to go with you, and in your carry-ons you can carry any packet of food, as long as it's not a pre-made shaker pudding, of course. So all your snickety snackety items and drink packets and things like that can be packed in your carry-on. Empty shaker cup, pack it in your carry-on. Once you're through security, you can buy that bottled water or whatever else you need on the other side. And the same thing there too. If you know you're going on a really long flight and you know that the only food that you're going to be able to purchase in flight is full of carbs and non-allowable food, you can purchase it and take it on to the airplane with you. And they will be accommodating. If you need a little extra ice to keep something cool in your carry-on, ask for it. They will give it to you. And I know I've read in comments in places that, you know, some airports are really, really tough and other ones are awesome. So if you know of awesome ones, please share that with everybody so that they can have some good tips and tricks traveling too. Another thing on the traveling with your IP products, think about your destination, think about where you're going, and don't pack, you know, if you're going to Mexico, you know, it's going to be 35 degrees, so it's over 100 for you guys. You know, you're not going to pack your chocolate soy puffs that are going to melt together, right? But your soy nuts will be great. Your drink packets will be awesome as well. I think we lost Renee.
Just keep talking, Dee. Just keep talking.
Okay.
I will interrupt here for a second because I wanted to address this comment. And Ken is always she's such a great follower and always is reaching out, and I love to answer her questions. So she says, but now comes another issue: portion control and saying no to yummy desserts. And her thing. We all have our own thing, by the way. But her thing is really, you know, overcoming. She worries a lot about having that ability to say no, like, you know, holding herself back from going to places or going on trips or what have you, because she feels like I don't know if I can say no. How do you, what advice do you give?
You know, it's such a personal thing for each and every dieter. And one of the things that you have to decide is what is the most important to you. All those yummy things are going to be there when you're done. And even when we're done and in maintenance, we're still going to have to learn how to execute control while enjoying those things as well. So in phase 1, 2, and 3, it is really practicing self-control. You really are. So it's not just about learning good habits. And in maintenance, I'm not going to say to anybody that we're going to expect you to be perfect, because most of us are breaking lifelong habits. If not, you know, we've got a lot of time invested in bad habits and bad cravings and why we reach for things. If you know that it's going to be difficult, pardon me, say, and let's use the cruise as an example. So you've had your lovely meal and it is time for dessert. You're allowed to excuse yourself. You're allowed to go for a walk on the deck. You're allowed to say no, thank you, and leave. Maybe it's a great time to have your favorite hot tea with a little bit of sweetener or coffee or something like that. And maybe that's a great time to take out your restrictive treat or your, you know, half a wafer cookie or something. You know, save something from your day that you know you're allowed to have to bring out at that time so that you're not feeling left out just in your environment. But I do also want to touch on, most of us, when we're on protocol and then we go off protocol in the heat of the moment. So when you're on a planned trip, you're not in the heat of the moment, right? You're not in a surprise party or a surprise scenario. You've had a lot of time to think about what your choices are going to be. So again, it goes back to planning and preparing. So if you know that somebody's going to have that molten lava cake beside you that's not protocol and you can't handle it, then you need to excuse yourself or you need to have a substitute that you know you will enjoy. because one of the first repercussions that's going to be if you, and it's always a choice. It's always a choice if you're going to stick that in your mouth when you know you're not supposed to have it. I have never ever met somebody who, after they go off protocol, says, "I'm so happy I did that." It's always, why did I do that? I just set myself back 3 days. It brought all my cravings and hunger and emotions, and it brings the negative, it bubbles it right to the surface, because it's bringing back those those self-control issues as well. Then you're battling that. And when you're on a lovely holiday or when you're traveling, we don't want to add that stress and anxiety to already making good choices. It's almost like a vicious circle of life. In it all comes back to the planning and preparing yourself to be in those situations. And don't talk yourself into it. We spend a lot of time talking ourselves into bad decisions.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think, Cam, that we question. So, Dee, you go ahead and talk some more. Let's talk about some travel. Let's see. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought when I had that feedback. Okay, so let's continue talking about. Let's choose travel at a resort. So again, maybe you go to an all-inclusive. What are your suggestions for that? Again, it's food off the chain, and having that ability to make all those good choices all of the time.
So, again, I kind of missed on a point there. You know what? I just want to say, if you're going on a holiday and you have already decided that it's going to be impossible for you to stay on track, then it will be impossible for you to stay on track. So you need to communicate with your coach well in advance before you go about maybe an option for you is phasing out properly before going on that holiday. Now, phasing out properly before a holiday doesn't mean then a holiday should just be a free-for-all, but it will give you a little bit more options, maybe in the healthy fats department, maybe in a little extra protein department. And again, you know what? I would pick a resort, honestly, based on accessibility of meeting my breakfast needs. All my meal needs, sorry. I'm a little bit obsessed. Years ago, I went to Huachuco, Mexico, and their breakfast bar was like 150 meters from the ocean, and it was the most amazing thing that I had ever seen. Any type of egg and protein and meat and cheese and honestly, my 8 ounces of protein was done at breakfast. Like it was the most amazing thing. Our lunch, where you were, allowed to go for a lunch buffet, there was endless choices of phase one food. There was the salad bar alone was staggering. And usually by the time our group was ready to go for lunch, I was still kind of rolling around on the beach for breakfast. I can't even tell you a lie about that. I was like, I don't need lunch because I'm still full from breakfast. And then again, you have lots of control in a resort with your sit-down restaurant. So most of them, you're going to have a choice of where you're going to go for dinner in the evening. And so do your homework ahead of time again there and know what you're getting into as well. And stay away from the sit-downs that are going to be a trigger for you, or a really hard time saying no. I'm a big fan of just saying no, thank you. I know we touched on it. The breads, the extras, don't even bring them for me. If you can start any meal with a hot broth or a hot tea or even just a hot lemon water, I would suggest that too, and enjoy that while you're really thinking about what you would like to eat. Again, if you know that we see it all the time in clinic. You know what? I'm not staying on because I'm going to Mexico for a wedding, or I'm going, those types of big family celebrations. I think honestly, as coaches and protocol users, we're going to be more proactive by really finding out what our clients' true intentions are and setting them up for the most success. So, but phasing out properly is a must, and understanding healthy food combining is a must too. So right
Yeah.
from, yeah, we need to talk about it. We need to practice it all the time. So
Yeah. Do you have some water, Dee?
I'm cracking bad, hey?
I'm just worried. Melissa, she needs some water. I'll take over here so you can catch your breath. So Melissa says here, ask for no bread to be brought before it comes. That way it's easier to resist. And I totally agree. So I make sure nothing comes to the table that's not supposed to be there. Josephine says, traveling with those small plastic baby food cubes with pre-portioned treats, soy balls, trail mix, etc., and protein powders in those baby containers helps. Carry in your purse and put in Greek yogurt. You know, I will mention something that you were talking about going through the airport, and here's something that I found out because I really wanted to have my Starbucks with my vanilla shake. So I just said to the guy, I was like, this is medical food. And he said, okay. He said, hold it in your hand and I'm going to pat you down. So I had to, and it's a lady that's patting you down. It's not a big deal. And then they took it and they swabbed it, and then they let me go in and I got to drink it with my Starbucks coffee. So that is possible. It is possible to do that if you want to take your one pre-made. I mean, don't try to take a suitcase full because it won't work. But anyway, we are kind of coming to the end of our hour in about 3 minutes. It always happens so fast when I'm with Dee. But if you are interested in getting our travel tips guide, all you have to do is type the word EAT into the comment section, and we will send you our travel tips guide. All right, Dee, we have to close this up. I think we've covered almost every situation, other than don't walk by the dessert bar because that's not for you. And any last minute things that you would like to share with people?
I just really want everybody to share their travel tips in the comments. What has worked for you? What you found to be the most easy, economical. If you're on protocol and you're going for long drives and you're flying, water retention can be an issue, or the swelling when you fly. I can guarantee you it is 100% intensified if you are having a poor diet. So stay strong so that you feel good when you're traveling too, because when you're on those vacations or those traveling trips, you want to sleep good, you want to feel good, you want your tummy function to be good as well.
Yes,
So
yes.
those are all really good reasons for staying on track, really, because nothing ruins a trip than food hangovers.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I learned a long time ago that if I don't do certain things, I end up sick for my whole trip. So let's enjoy our trips and enjoy eating out so that when we get back home, we don't feel crappy, and we don't, when you get back home from a meal and you ate this, that, and the other, and you start to realize why you're getting bloated and the things that make you bloated. And that's a whole nother learning curve and a whole nother video. And we want to thank everybody for joining us today. Dee, I always love to hang out with you. One of these days we're going to do it in person, but not yet. I am going to get to meet Melissa this weekend. I'm super excited at the Seattle Super Weekend.
Awesome.
So if you are just joining us or you're watching in the replay, make sure you type EAT. And we will, in your messenger, you will get our travel tips guide and eating out guide. And always, if you're in the replay, send us your questions. We will be happy to put them in we'll respond to them in the comments sections. I'm watching all these things down here. I need to stay focused. All right. Dee, I am looking forward to talking to you again soon. Everybody, enjoy your week and your weekend and your crazy weather. This is a crazy weather. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you, Dee. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee. Have a great time at Super Weekend in Seattle.
Okay, bye.